Man, how are y'all doing today on this Thursday? I know everybody's getting ready for the season to start. Looks like Blaze saying he has to turn off the Masters to catch the show. Honestly, this is just really just kind of just start as an appreciation. One, I saw the conversation yesterday with guys talking about leagues not being able to make it through the entire disc. Man, honestly, for me, um, I didn't expect us to get to this point. I know the same with our board of directors team. We didn't expect to be able to last up to this point, but we have, and we've got some new faces in the league, which brings new energy and hopefully keeps us going as far as an activity standpoint. So first, wanted to just say, give out an appreciation to all of you that have been locked in, playing season to season with us, and yeah, keeping this environment or this community moving the way it has. Obviously, we've had some interesting windows with different people winning natties. I believe currently Vic has two natties above, or I think he's the only one currently with two national championships in the league. So definitely want to give him his props for doing what it seems like he always does, regardless of who he plays or who he's up against. And we did a little bit of a shuffle. Got a little bit of a shuffle with the league when it comes to the conferences. As you can see, there has been a little bit of transition within each conference, moved some players around, our users around. And I kind of stated in the chat, I had zero interest in going to the SEC, but um, I don't know. For whatever reason, I just kind of said to myself, basically the hell with it. I'm gonna go over there. I'm gonna try it out, and most likely get my shit beat in. Paul's week to week, but we're gonna go over here and battle it out with these guys, and looking ready to start the season. I got the schedules done last night, but just with everything with work yesterday and dealing with family, just thought it was the best window to just kind of chill out and give people the opportunity to recruit if you had not done so, which I can see for the majority of people have recruited. For the new users, just with the teams that you guys currently have, man, please go in and recruit, especially when it comes to the transfer portal. You may not need that many recruits from this point up until we get to the official end date with college this year, but it's definitely important to try to build that team. Even if you're getting a bunch of three stars, you have options that are available to you to still be somewhat competitive. We'll try to make sure when it comes to the conferences that they are as close as possible. And so, what I was going to do is just one, give a quick breakdown of each conference, kind of my expectation. I know I haven't done a show in a while, and so I got about a 20-minute window before my next call, and figure we go ahead and just break something down. So starting with the SEC, really the new faces, the transition over here would be T-Raw with Trawl with Texas, Bird with Oregon coming over from the Big Ten, and then of course A&M with Jawan and Mark with Ohio State. This is a very different looking conference than it was last season, and don't really know who's going to win this conference, but I don't whoever wins this conference, I don't expect anyone to one sweep. And that was kind of one of the things I was focused on was if we build if I build conferences this way, how close will we be to a 2-3 loss record for the majority within each group? I don't think there's going to be anyone that sweeps in this conference. I don't think you're going to see that. I don't think you're going to have those issues at all with things that we face within our group. So you should be good there. And then we'll see. We'll see how it plays out as far as league play itself. But um, I don't think anybody's going to sweep within the ACC. Same in the Big 12. Big 12, a lot of similarities here. Obviously, the big move was moving Showtime from the Pac 12. I just felt like, and also Uh, yeah, also when it comes in, he said you ain't hear that Zoom ringing. Yeah, that's one of my coworkers that loves talking sports. I'll get back to him later. But when it comes to the FS Florida State moving them over from the Pac-12, he just didn't have any comp, in my opinion, and dominated over there. So made the transition, moving him over to the Big 12. Obviously, we have Blaze here with Tennessee moved over from the Big Ten. Um, moved over from the Big Ten. Legends going to stay over here with DMAC, and then of course we've got Steve and GA Bound moving from the SEC. Now, what's interesting about this is I'm expecting for GA Bound to be a real threat in this conference only because of where he's came from. One thing that we saw last cycle, not sure if we'll see it this cycle, is um, users that have gone from the SEC and transitioned out of the SEC to other conferences, they typically turn out to be a pretty dominant force. Now, it didn't happen with everyone this cycle that transitioned out of the SEC. Some of that had to do with the fact of, I know, for example, one of those users had just had a kid, which is congrats to Jawan for those that don't know. Want to make sure to celebrate that. But um, I think he did make a little noise in the Big 12, but I do expect GA Bound to be quite the challenge for everyone in this Big 12. But we'll see. We'll see how that plays out. And then the next one, obviously, the next person that I'm looking at is Blaze, seeing how Blaze pans out with a different style of users within this conference. Again, not really pointing out winners, but looking forward to seeing the competition. Again, I don't expect anybody to sweep in the Big 12. Over to the Big 10. Really, the goal with this conference, and if you pay attention, the conferences are kind of going by a tier system. For the most part, just tried to go down a tier system. Either some of it was matching by grade, um, whether it was team prestige, how I saw somebody recruit, how somebody was previously playing the last season. Really, all those things kind of were ultimately the factor that we got to the point of making that decision of kind of where everybody landed. Moved Alabama over into the Big Ten. Not sure how long he's going to last here, just because that team definitely upgraded from the last time that I looked at them. Obviously, you have options with manual upgrade to do that. And then Ron's team obviously upgraded from the offensive side, not so much the defense. And then curious to see how this turns out for Roach. For the most part, for Roach in the Big 12, just didn't have the success. Played in a lot of close games in the Big 12, just ultimately couldn't pull out a win over there. The Notre Dame user, in my mind, is just still yet to be seen. I know he had mentioned something in regards to schedule, so we'll see how that plays out. And then, of course, Isaiah, another guy that won a natty and then just kind of, I don't want to say the words fell off, but, it's wild to see his team play as well as it has, and then the game even winning a natty, it still doesn't give him the credit of prestige. I mean, you have guys that have teams that have higher prestiges that haven't even made or haven't even made the playoffs or won a playoff game on this game, which is something to me that college still has to figure out when it comes to the prestige standpoint. I don't know how you win a natty and especially in a 4 to 5 season range and automatically have your prestige just drop. That just doesn't make any sense to me unless you're just going out there and playing like complete ass. I don't think Isaiah's been doing that with Tech. He's been winning around that 7 to 8 games a season. So, and then LSU, I'll give the new user with LSU some credit. He did go in and rebuild that team in the transfer portal. That probably the craziest thing I've ever seen somebody do in the transfer portal with the amount of open positions that he had on his depth chart. And I don't know. Again, don't know a lot about his game, which there are a few users in here that I feel very similar about when it comes to their gameplay. But we'll see how those Tigers kind of play out. And then, of course, Nebraska is the old Pitt user, and he's kind of my dark horse here. I actually think that this dude can actually play. The few games that I got to watch him play, I think he goes by CB or Moneyline Hose, some shit like that. He's kind of my dark horse here because I think dude can actually play. I just think honestly, the difference for him last season, in my opinion, for not making the playoffs, had everything to do with I think he missed 2 games, two forced losses in that Pac-12. Other than that, he would have been in that conference championship and most likely would have been in the playoffs with that Nebraska team. Going over to the Pac-12 with and again, this conference has been based around the same system since the beginning. By the way, some of y'all in the Pac-12 need to go in and do your do your upgrades because I was looking and I was like, damn, King 504, like what the hell happened to Auburn? And then you go look, my guy has done no upgrades just yet, so maybe he'll get that done before the game. Similar with UCLA, with Eastside, and a few others. Obviously, you've got the time to do so. And then the Pittsburgh user, a new user, having Frizzle over here. Frizzle obviously is similar to how I felt about a few other guys that were in the Big 12. Just wasn't having the success. And what we've learned with college is, obviously Frizzle's one of those guys that are going to be pretty loyal regardless of the results of his game. But the way this game ultimately seems to work out is it doesn't really make sense to keep guys in the same position. I want to give everybody an opportunity to be successful, have an opportunity to, get into the playoffs. I think in my opinion, that's how the real life system is now. It's why I gave the example about Texas Tech in the Big 12 last year. It's not that I don't think Texas Tech is not a good college team in real life. I just thought they didn't play anybody. And then, of course, we saw when they played BYU and then, of course, got into the playoffs, the results of that. That's college football. That's kind of where the space is now. It's kind of separated. It's kind of balanced out in that regard. And then Sean Poppy with Clemson, I do think the defensive side of the ball, he did well sticking with that Clemson team. We have a new ASU user that has, for the most part, got that offense in good tack. And then Swag. Swag has joined us in the league from taking Cal. My opinion, the best visuals on the game from a stadium atmosphere standpoint is is going to be that Cal team. But that's just my opinion. You can argue it if you want. Again, with this conference, I don't expect a sweep. Obviously, I need Eastside to go in and do his upgrades as well as Auburn, but I don't expect a sweep. Frizzle's Frizzle should be the number one user in the conference. Just straight up, he should be the number one. And then going into the SEC, I'm just calling it the conference of hell. That's because that's for the most part it's what it's always been. I don't think anyone has swept in this conference at any point that it's been together. Obviously, myself going over here for the first time, and then you got Fireman going back with Georgia. Georgia's kind of hard team to figure out on where to put, and then ultimately it's kind of difficult to figure out where to play Fireman. But we'll see how this all plays out. I don't expect to be too great. I'm definitely going to compete, but we'll see how this all plays out in the SEC. The as far as schedules, they have been completed. Like I said, got those done last night. I tried to meet as many requests that there were when it came to the league. Obviously, the Bama user he wants to play. He wanted to play Florida and Oklahoma. Um, he wanted to play Florida and Oklahoma. He gets both. And then you're going to see some of these that have, for example, in the Pac 12, gave the Pac 12 the least amount of games, but they do get the home games available to them. Because again, our goal is. Our goal is not just to be a community that competes, but also a community that allows new users to come in and build. But that's still on the new user to go in and you still got to recruit. So I'm going to shout out Pittsburgh or Pitt. I did see him on a few recruits, so obviously he's going to have some success this season. Hopefully, we'll see how that kind of plays out. But there's going to be some pretty interesting games to start the season because there's been some call outs, but I'm excited to get this going. I hope you guys hope you guys enjoy the season and appreciate the schedules and obviously the effort that we put in to try to continue to make this league successful from a week to week. We're getting closer to the end, and just thankful for again for everybody playing up to this point. I did look at the preseason All Americans, and I am so done with Vic. I'm done with Vic. I'm completely done with Vic. Boy, Oklahoma is everywhere. Oklahoma is everywhere on this damn page, and so definitely shout out to whatever the hell Vic is doing from a first team and second team. If there's one thing that's constant, is those players from Oklahoma. You do got Old Miss and a few other teams that kind of sprinkle in there, but that is going to be the majority. And so, but hey, that's those are the preseason All Americans, the preseason top 25. If you haven't looked, pretty much sits pretty standard to no shock at all that it has Trawl sitting up at the top with Texas. We'll see how his season pans out. I expect this picture to change. I expect this picture to change a whole lot, but we'll see. Well, that's pretty much all I had. Just wanted to give a little content as far as as far as the league. Definitely excited to get this rolling. And I'm gonna connect with our board because I do have maybe not an idea, but something that we could probably open up to the league. So, gonna get this thing advanced and moved forward. But I do hope you guys have a good rest of your day. Thank you for listening to the show. We'll talk to you soon.